All right, hello, welcome everybody to the year that was ... 1997. I'm your host Aaron Maxon, along with my brother Nate.
Hello, everybody.
Usually we'd be joined by Mr. Archie Mitchell, but he's kind of incapacitated right now. We're hoping he kicks out soon. So Archie, if you do end up listening to this, get better, buddy. And I hope everybody, all five of you, listening, feel the same way.
Yes, I talked to Archie today, and it sounds like he will be going home in a few days, and the prognosis is not terrible. And we'll let him tell you what the situation is on his own. Obviously, it's his own personal life, but again, like I said, it sounds like he's going to be getting to go home in a few days, and whenever you get to go home, that's a good indicator.
Yeah, not going to put his business out there, but just saying
No.
he's needing thoughts. I don't
Yes.
say prayers. That won't
Me neither.
That won't get you anywhere. Anyway, as we discussed last week was WrestleMania 13. I think anybody that's listening to this show knows the score on WrestleMania 13, so I don't think we need to go back and go over the results of that. But it was a kick-ass WrestleMania, raucous crowd. Main thing is Undertaker's your new WWF heavyweight champion, and Stone Cold Steve Austin. It was basically Steve Austin's coming out party at WrestleMania 13.
Yes.
Awesome WrestleMania. I think it's underrated. I've actually heard people say they didn't like WrestleMania 13. I'm like, what the fuck?
What did you watch?
Yeah, well, I don't know what you watched. But anyway,
uncensored.
Yeah, I don't know. But we're out of Chicago and we're going right over to Rockford. I'm not sure the time. I'm sure it's probably only like an hour and a half. I'm not sure, but anyway, we're in Rockford, Illinois for Raw's War. This is a good Raw, but like I want to tell people when I read this to you guys, if you're a modern fan, you're gonna be like, well, that seems like kind of an underwhelming Raw for after WrestleMania. This is pre Raw after WrestleMania stuff. You know what I mean?
Yes. You didn't get the what I want to say, the major Raw after WrestleMania vibe until in the 2000s.
Yeah.
And
I would say I'd even give it 14. 14 was kind of a big.
Yeah, you're right. X-Pac came back, and
like that's what I was gonna put it on. But yeah, you're right. It didn't really ratchet up until 2000. But this, like I said, this still is not a shit Raw. This is actually really good.
And I'm sorry, I don't want to cut you off, but if you guys go back and watch the first year of Monday Night Raw, the Raw after WrestleMania 9 is actually taped. It's not even live. Yeah. Like, so anyway.
Like I said, we're in Rockford. Our commentating team is Vince McMahon, Jerry Lawler, and Jim Ross, and they let us know that now Mankind is the number one contender. That's been announced. HBK is there. He's going to have some words. Psycho Sid's here. Bret Hart is going to have an interview, and The Undertaker is set to appear later on as the new champion. So that's what they're hyping. No matches or anything. I mean, there's matches on here, but there's no like, this is the big match that's going to happen.
That's something that I miss that they did especially a lot from like 96 through after once the Attitude Era started. But like you'd come on after a pay-per-view like this, The Undertaker just became the champion, and it would just be like, and at the next pay-per-view, The Undertaker is going to face Mankind. Like there was no, like you didn't have this big story set up for it. Now, granted, you'd have some angles and stuff leading up to the match, but it was just like the championship committee or something had just decided Mankind was the number one contender.
Yeah, and with Mankind, you don't really need one. Like you can say, okay, Mankind's the number one contender for this guy because he's the guy that has been going toe to toe with the Undertaker before he became the champ. You know what I mean?
Right.
So all that's coming up, plus some great matches, and the opening contest is Owen and Davey defending the tag team championships against the Headbangers, who won that 4-way tag team match at the beginning of WrestleMania to get their shot. So here it is. Owen and Bulldog are out, and there's some notes on this match. One of the first notes I put is, and I'll probably fuck up how you say it, but Royal Britannia, I can never say it, which everybody thinks, any wrestling fan thinks that's like the United Kingdom's national anthem. It's not.
It's not. Any American wrestling fan does.
Yeah, like I wrote at first, I was like, oh man, like I thought it was. I was like, oh no, it isn't. But anyway, that is, and I know we've talked about it before on the weekend, and none of us mentioned it, but that's one of the coolest wrestling entrance themes. And I know it's not a wrestling entrance theme, but it's fucking cool.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's like it's almost like the pomp and circumstances for Randy or Hunter coming out to his I never remember the name of that, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right. It's a cool song.
Or Flair.
Yeah. 2001 Space Odyssey. I know that's not what it's called, but you know what I mean.
Also anyway. Sriracha or something.
I just know it's 2001 Space Odyssey because the monkeys find that thing or whatever, the stick. One monkey, no, it's a bone or something. One monkey kills the other monkey with a bone, and they figure that shit out quick. It's a fucking kick-ass movie. Anyway, so Owen and Bulldog are out. The Headbangers are out. Owen and Davey are kind of arguing a little bit. They're still a little mad at each other. During the match, Owen he's yelling at the people, and he's in the middle of the ring, he like the middle of the apron. He gets bumped by Davey. He thinks Davey pushed him, and Owen's like, I'm sick of it. I'm sick of all of this. And he does it better than me because he's Owen, but he's just tired of it, and he leaves. And they go to commercial, and by the time we come back, Owen's back. So I'm assuming there was some kind of get the crowd going in the middle of it thing with like Earl Hebner saying if he doesn't come back, they're going to take the belts from him or whatever, and he had to come back. But they probably did some house show shit during the commercial. And then during the match, it's going on some more, and they're all in the ring or whatever. Owen's legal, but Bulldog ends up coming in. The referee's distracted, and he slams Thrasher, and Owen's down. And Davey's gonna go and pick up Owen and put him on Thrasher, but Owen takes it as Davey's attacking him.
Mm-hmm.
Like he doesn't think, like he didn't see the body slam or whatever. He just knew he was down, and then Bulldog was on him, so he thinks he's attacking him. Davey, like him and Davey are kind of getting into it, and Hebner's trying to get him settled down. Davey pushes Earl down, which brings in the disqualification, and then Owen pushes Davey, and then Davey leg dives Owen, and Jim Ross is just like, well, they're divorced now. Like, here's the divorce, and basically saying this is the imploding of the team. So the Headbangers win by disqualification, and they're like dejected. They're just but they're just standing there like, what the fuck? Like their whole thing got screwed.
Right.
And I'll go through, like I said, I'll go through this show, and if you got anything you want to interject, that's cool. After that match, or after that pull apart, Owen's still mad, Davey's still mad, and Owen ends up challenging Davey for a shot at the European Championship, which Davey accepts. So next week it's going to be Owen and the Bulldog for the United States, for the European Championship, and JR and Vince are just totally putting over that this is the end of the team. Like they don't even know what's going to happen with the tag team titles because these guys are done.
No spoiler for anybody that knows what's going on. Most of people, like you said, anybody who listens to the show knows. How cool is it that this is the beginning of the seed being planted for the Hart Foundation?
Yes. It's going to be coming up next week, obviously, but yes, it's breaking up Davey and Owen to show how manipulative Brett actually is.
Yes,
it's coming down the line.
It's all coming down.
It's all coming down. Then we get an interview with Mankind in the boiler room, and they think he's going to be happy about being the number one contender, but he's upset and dejected because Uncle Paul is gone. He can't find Uncle Paul. Where have you gone, Uncle Paul? Where are you? He's totally upset and freaking out, and the commentators are like, what the fuck?
This guy
is insane. So they like the commentators don't know if they mean like he can't find him or Paul's just like they don't know what's going on with Paul Bearer. The next thing is we're going to mention that this segment of the year that was is sponsored by Selsun Blue, number one dandruff shampoo. And Jerry Lawler says, I use it all the time. And we're also sponsored by Discovery Zone, the perfect place for kids to run, climb, swim, swing, draw, and have a ball.
Discovery Zone. Another company I don't think is in existence now.
No.
We did find out an episode or two ago that Selsun Blue still exists.
Yes, it's still available.
Which is funny. I thought it was funny after the fact when we were done recording that we both work retail, and in our stores there's probably Selsun Blue, and we just don't even realize it.
Yeah, so that shit still exists. There's still 5 old dudes that buy it.
They're also buying Old Spice.
Yes, and Dapper Dan.
Brill cream, yeah.
Dapper Dan. That's one of my favorite bits from Oh Brother Where Art Thou.
Yeah.
And he says like something like, I got Brill cream. And he's like, I'm a Dapper Dan man, god damn it.
I'm a Dapper Dan man, god damn it.
And that guy's like, you won't be using that language in here, boy. That is the Woolworths. I think we just got banned from the Woolworths. Anyway, he's great. I'm a Dapper Dan man, god damn it.
And he really doesn't even say it aggressively.
I'm
a Dapper Dan man, god damn it.
That's one of the best lines ever written in a movie. Anyway, the next match is Bart Gunn taking on Triple H. Hunter Hearst Helmsley at this time. He's not quite Triple H yet. It's just 2 solid wrestlers having a match. Bret Hart appears on the Titantron during the match and is demanding an uninterrupted interview time. So basically what they were getting at was Bret's interview was like what he had to say was supposed to be told during this match. And he was like, I'm going to speak and I'm going to be the only, like, basically he's going to be the only person on camera when he's speaking.
Right.
He doesn't want other stuff going on. So he's like, it's basically bullshit. Then they do a corner interview with Goldust, who's upset about Marlena because Marlena got beat up at WrestleMania by Chyna. And during the match, Chyna pulls down the ropes on Bart Gunn, and gives him a body slam, which gets a huge pop from the crowd, and then tosses him into the ring post, throws him back in the ring. Triple H hits the pedigree, 1, 2, 3, and Triple H is victorious. So that's that. Bart Gunn.
You're still in the what do I want to say? In the infancy of Chyna, where you're trying to establish that she's as much a threat as a man would be outside the ring in helping Hunter.
Yes, and Bart Gunn showing that he's a bigger man than Ahmed Johnson because he put the bitch over. So good for him. So it was what it was. It was just a basic match to get Chyna over, get the Bret Hart thing. And they just slammed a bunch of shit into. I shouldn't say shit. They slammed a bunch of stuff into like a 5-minute segment. That's what I'm talking about with wrestling. Like stuff would happen like you were talking about in 93 on Raw. A lot of shit would happen, and it was an hour.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff happens on this show. It's 2 hours. Nothing happens on Raw now.
And it's 3 hours long.
Like an hour's worth of stuff happened on this show. You could have done this in an hour and 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Just saying. Like I watched Raw a while back. I watched the Raw after WrestleMania on Spectrum. I watched it on demand. Okay, watched the whole thing. Since it was on demand, there was no commercials. Guess how long the show was with no commercials? 2 hours and 5 minutes.
Well, and not to mention, like, I don't know if you saw this or not. Seth Rollins did an interview. I forget which radio station it was, leading up to the WrestleMania hype or whatever, leading up to WrestleMania. And they asked him about 3-hour Raw. And I think he's one of those guys in WWE now that is kind of bulletproof,
Yeah.
to the rules, or like anyway he spoke candidly, and he said I think 2 hours is square for a wrestling show. It's the perfect time. 3 hours is too much. And the best example he gave was, he's like, I, in the past 6 months, have had to have 20 pay-per-view caliber matches on weekly television. Roman never wrestles on TV because he doesn't need to, because it's a 2-hour show. So he can be the champion to come out, do a segment, and not have to wrestle because they don't have to put as many fucking matches on the show. You know what? And it makes perfect sense. He's like, Roman doesn't have to wrestle. Anyway.
So the next match is a three-way lucha, a 6-man lucha libre match. I'm not knocking the WWF, like the AAA lucha guys that the WWF brought in, but this is the one thing where it was like, like WCW would try to like copy WWF or bring in WWF guys, where I don't think Vince should have done this.
No, it looked like
it was like Bush. It was like, I don't want to say Bush League because they're not Bush League. It was like
a poor man's lucha division when compared to what WCW had built.
Yeah, I was like, this doesn't work. And like I said, I'm not knocking the guys because the guys just didn't, and I don't think they had the right. How do I want to say it? I don't think Vince had the passion or whatever for it. I think it was just something they were doing because the other guys were doing it.
Also, these guys were not presented like WCW's luchadors were presented as WCW's luchadors. So they had their own stories, they had their own angles. These guys were just presented as the AAA guys wrestling on a WWF show. So they were just thrown out there. There was no reason for anybody to give a shit. There was no story. There was no angle. It was just like, here's this random 6-man Mexican match. And they don't even work for us. So don't even fucking worry about it.
Yeah. So the match is El Mosco, which is the Fly, Hysteria, which is just hysteria, and I'll butcher this, Embezo Negro, which is the Black Abyss, and they're facing Venom, Supernova, and Discovery. Their team name is the Space Cadets. Just saying. I don't know why it cracked me up, but hearing Howard Finkel go, Venom, Supernova, Discovery, the Space Cadets, just made me laugh for some reason. See, at first I thought he said Discovery, the Space Cadet. I was like, that's a stupid name. But turns out all these guys together are just Space Cadets. And during this, they try to interview Brett again, but he's pissed. He's like, I'm not doing it like this. I'm not doing my promo in the back is basically what he's getting at. The Space Cadets end up winning when Nova pins the Fly, and that's how that ends. It sounds as silly as it is. The next thing is Jim Ross does a sit-down interview in an empty arena with Rocky Maivia and Rocky Johnson, and basically Rocky's saying, we had a deal. I was going to get in the business. This being Rocky Maivia, we had a deal. I was going to get in the business. You were going to let me do my thing. You weren't going to get involved. And he's like, but you did at WrestleMania 13. And Rocky Johnson's like, I won't do it again, boy. I won't do it again. And they're all happy. And it was a very good idea doing this the way they did it. If they would have done this in front of people, it would have been it would have been bad.
Yeah.
They would have ripped him apart. So they did the old Dusty Rhodes, and they did it in an empty arena, so it didn't get shit on.
And it makes me think, because I completely forgot about this interview even happening. Do you think that Rocky doing this little segment with his dad is the beginning of heel? I mean, I know it's not referenced back to, but he almost seems like kind of an ungrateful punk.
A little bit.
Like you told me you'd let me do my own thing, Dad. Anyway,
Kinda.
Is the writing on the wall, is what I'm saying. Have they realized we need to turn this guy bad at some point?
I don't know if they've realized it yet. That's like, there's not a lot of things that Vince Russo gets a lot of credit for. And I'm not saying he should get all the credit for The Rock.
Mm-hmm.
He should get credit for the guy being like, they hate him. He's got to be bad.
Right.
Like, I guarantee he was the guy that said that he needs to be a bad guy. Like, Vince McMahon was like, oh, we can get him over. We can get, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I guarantee Vince Russo was the guy. I was like, oh, they fucking hate him. Just go with it. But here they're trying to just play it off like Rocky wants to do his thing and Daddy Rock wants to help his boy. And he said, that's the last time I'll get involved. And then the next match is Flash Funk versus the Brooklyn Brawler. And the Honky Tonk Man comes out for commentary because he said he's very interested in Flash Funk as possibly being his protege. And he's like, he could be the next Honky Tonk Man. He could be my next charge. And I wrote, Black Honky Tonk Man would rule. Black Honky Tonk Man? And you know what his gimmick should be? Elvis stole everything from my people, so I'm stealing everything back. Like, Honky Tonk Man didn't even acknowledge knowing who Elvis was. Black Honky Tonk Man should know exactly who he was.
He should be like, next week, I'm going to introduce you people to Bo Diddley.
Yeah, it's like, this is like, I was like, Black Honky Tonk Man would be amazing.
He hit him with the hidey, high.
But anyway, during this match, Honky's just talking about how much he likes Flash Funk, but he's still trying to find his next charge. And obviously, Flash Funk beats the Brooklyn Brawler with the Funky Flash Splash. That's the actual name of the move.
Vince came up with that.
Vince did. Funky Flash Splash.
It's the Funky Flash Splash.
Yeah, that or Bruce. One of them. But everything I love about Flash Funk, just hate the name of his fucking move. Then they go to interview Ken Shamrock and on the Titantron, and it got better, but like this 97 Ken Shamrock is a fucking horrible promo. Sounds like a fucking moron.
And he always looks startled.
Yeah, I have no idea what's going on.
I'm on camera.
Yeah. He's dressed like a Goomba. It's like, what is going on? I'm not knocking Goombas, but he looks like he's a fucking muscle for Tony Soprano. Stapling somebody's face in the streets.
We'll get to it as time goes on. I won't delve too much into it. Everybody knows that I am not. I don't ever want to make it sound like I think Ken Shamrock sucked. All right. Sometimes you really can not be a fan, but still accept that the guy is good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm just Ronnie Garvin. Ronnie Garvin's fine. I'm just not a fan. Okay. Same with Shamrock. For some reason, I just was never terribly interested in him. But what I will say is he found his footing when he got to be a heel.
Yeah.
Because he's a much better heel than he is a babyface.
Well, there's guys that people like, and I look at it and I just like, I don't see it, you know?
Yeah.
Like, but I'm not going to knock their accomplishments or
Right.
whatever they did, or like Big John Studd.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't care for Big John Studd. Like, I've never seen him do anything that I was like, oh, that guy was great.
Yeah.
But I don't ever go, oh, Big John Studd sucked. It's just like I don't see it.
Right.
You know what I mean,
Yeah. That's kind of how I am with
Mike
Shamrock.
Rotunda. I can understand why people might like Mike Rotundo, but I'm just like, unless he's IRS, I don't have any interest in Mike Rotunda. I don't want to see him. But I'm not going to say, oh, Mike Rotunda sucked in the ring. He was a terrible wrestler. It's like, no, he's just boring.
Yeah.
And babyface Ken Shamrock was kind of boring. And here he was just all over the place with his fucking speech. It was just bad. Like Shamrock should have been like this should have been in the type of situation that Rocky and Daddy Rock were in. This should have been a pre-taped thing because he stumbled all over it, and they should have been like, "No, we got to do this again." And if if this was a pre-tape and they let it go out, and this was the best they had,
shame on them.
Like you shouldn't even have done it. But the gist of the thing is that he was basically protecting Steve Austin. Like he was saying that Steve Austin was too amped up and too ready to win the match, so he wasn't thinking about his own safety. So he took Steve Austin's safety into his own hands.
Mm-hmm.
And there's going to be something. I'll just bring it up now, just letting everybody know. Steve isn't even on this show, and I didn't notice it till the end. I'm like, Steve wasn't even on it, and I actually think it was a good idea not having him on it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because you've built anticipation to seeing Steve, and
right, and how much more realistic is it? You know, nowadays some guy goes through 6 tables and busts his head open and has a concussion or whatever, and the next night he's on Monday Night Raw or on Dynamite on Wednesday. Yeah. Whereas in this, it really sells the fact that Austin got, you know, with the blade job and everything. It really sells it that he's not there. Like, holy shit, Stone Cold's not here. He's at home, you know, mending his wounds or whatever.
So I thought it was actually cool they left him off. So Goomba Ken Shamrock spelling over his words. That's the end of Raw. And we're going to move into the War Zone. And the War Zone is now Brett finally getting it opens with Brett finally getting his time. He's going to be in the ring, and he's going to get to be interviewed by Jim Ross. And it is exciting, and I'm like, yeah, smug Bret Hart.
Yeah.
Finally getting smug Bret Hart. Nobody, and I know you talk about like Bret's heel. Like, Bret's heel Bret is the best Bret. And in my opinion, it is. But the reason it is nobody in, like, you know, like you can say Ric Flair, he was boisterous. And he talked about how great he was, you know, with the ladies and the 60-minute man and heel Hogan was great at just being pompous and ignoring shit that happened. You know, like oh, I didn't lose this thing. I don't know what you're talking about. You know what I mean?
He didn't pin me. Yeah.
Yeah. Randy Savage, when he was a heel, he was like, you know, I don't know how he's insane. You know, he's crazy. Mm-hmm. Like, but nobody sold smug like Bret Hart.
Yep.
And the thing,
I'm better than you.
Yeah, and the thing is, like like people say in wrestling, oh, your character is an extension of what you are. It's like it's your personality times 10.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know Bret Hart, never met the man, never will, but I think Bret Hart is in real life probably not as bad as his character, but Bret's kind of a smug person.
Yeah.
Like, he really believes I'm the best. All these other guys suck compared to me. Other than the guys that I like, other than my family, I'm the best. But anyway, that's the Brett we're about to get. Jim Ross introduces Brett. It's funny because I got like the most notes on this thing, and it's an interview. Bret Hart comes out. Brett says he's going to apologize to everyone in Europe and everyone around the world, but basically says the United States can eat a dick. He's mad about that they're cheering Steve Austin and booing him. He said, this is just the words that he says. I'm just saying this. He says, HBK, he wasn't in a girly magazine. That was a gay magazine, and all of you know it. That's what he says. Bret Hart says that American fans don't respect him and they can kiss his ass. Then HBK comes out and gives basically he's like I'm an open and he's like I'm open and free living. I don't hide anything, you know. I do what I do. He says Brett's fake. He said that Austin didn't give up, and he passed out because he's one tough son of a bitch. Because Brett's trying to say that he made Austin give up at WrestleMania, and Steve's and Austin's or Sean's like, no, now you're even lying about that. Like he passed out. Like just say what.
Right.
It was. And then HBK says, basically says, Brett, if you want to go, then let's go. And Brett's kind of like, whatever. Now, you know, you're hurt. I'm not going to beat up a hurt guy. And then he goes, also, Brett, how did you even know I was in that girly magazine? Basically implying that Bret Hart was beaten off to Shawn Michaels' gay magazine. Bret goes to leave. Shawn goes to leave because he sees that Bret's leaving, and Bret ends up attacking Shawn as he turns his back. And now that it was, I'm not just the description I'm giving it is injustice, but basically, Bret Hart's character waited till he knew Shawn wasn't even looking at him, made Shawn think that he was leaving, and then attacked him. So Bret is full heel now because he's attacked a guy from behind.
And I was going to say my thought on that, on this whole thing is back then I was enthralled and I don't know, Bret and Shawn in the ring together during this time when they would have face to faces or whatever, being this one or the one where Bret's in the wheelchair or whatever. It back then it was just so intriguing. And I don't know what, and obviously it felt so real because it was real, but I don't know what felt more real, whether it was the NWO invasion or these segments with those two guys, you know? Like, it was just that real feeling of, man, something's happening here.
Yeah. It's this because this is real. Kevin Nash and Scott Hall, they were saying shit, but they were saying shit to just fuck with people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't think they really hated, like, when they called them, like, the vanilla midgets and shit. I don't think they really hated I don't think they really hated Dean and Chris. And you know, I think they were just fucking with people. These two just fucking hated each other. But during the match, or during the segment, like I said, Bret attacks HBK from behind and then ends up putting him in the figure four around the pole. The one thing I did put in my notes too, like you were talking about, these guys fucking hate each other. It's mind blowing to me how much they hated each other. And they would they had a couple fights in like the locker room and shit, but never did you hear one of them go, "Oh, he potatoed me in the ring," or "He did this." We did they never hurt each other in the ring.
Yeah, they were always professional in the ring. I mean, even Montreal, you know, when you would expect that would have happened.
Yeah. Like that whole brawl through the building and shit. Like both Shawn and Bret said, neither one of us, both of them said that guy never took liberties with me in the ring. They'd attack me afterwards, you know. But once you were in the ring, nope. And the other one that I think about when I think about that is a guy that actually probably could have. Flair never fucked up Eric.
Yeah.
Eric Bischoff says that. He's like all the shit I ever did to him. Every time we had a match, it was like is that his hit couldn't break an egg, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like it could, but he never dropped me on his head on my head. He never did anything. Like, I don't know. It's like the most unprofessional professional thing in the history of wrestling is Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart.
Yeah, they would take vocal jabs.
Yeah. Or try to beat the shit out of each other in the locker room.
In the bathroom, yeah.
That guy's willing to give you his body in the ring. You don't fuck it up. You know,
Mm-hmm.
you don't do that. But anyway, Bret has the figure 4 around the pole on Shawn, but then Sid comes out and he's coming out to help because the referees can't get Bret off of Shawn. The minute Bret sees Sid, he gets out of there. He's like, "Nope, I'm out." And this is the WrestleMania kind of was, but this is the complete setup of Bret's a bad guy now. Bret's a heel. He attacked a guy from behind that's injured and then ran away from a guy that isn't. So Bret's a complete coward now. Smug coward Bret Hart. Here he is. After that, we go to a break. We come back, and Vince Lawler and Ross discuss the Bret Hart situation. And now Lawler's all about Bret. He's like,
yeah,
finally seen the light. Bret knows what's up. And just Vince and Ross are just talking about how dejected and upset they are with Bret, and Lawler's just like, I'm coming around to the guy.
I kind of like him. He's all right.
Yeah. Then we get an Intercontinental Championship match. It's going to be Rocky Maivia defending the Intercontinental Championship against Leif Cassidy, and I have a feeling that Rock's never wrote a real book. That if you smell what the Rock is cooking book, one of the worst wrestling books ever.
Yeah.
Terrible. He's never wrote a real book. One day I hope he does. And I have a feeling that you're going to hear that he did a lot of matches around the horn
with Al Snow.
Yes. And now they're out here now. I bet he worked a lot with Al, Owen. I'm trying to think who else might.
Lombardi, probably.
Probably Lombardi. Yeah, those guys. I bet he worked a lot with them.
Mm-hmm.
They're out here now. Bret Hart comes down to ringside, and he's gonna he's on commentary. He's bitching about everything. They're showing Shawn Michaels. He's getting help to the back with his knee all bandaged up. Bret is talking about his change in mindset, however you want to say it. And they're saying like Ross and Vince are like, what's going on with you? Why are you doing this? And Bret just said he's tired of it. And during this, Rocky Maivia gets the cross body block on Leif Cassidy and pins him 1, 2, 3. And they're just still blasting Bret. And Bret says, you want to see bad? I'll show you wickedly bad. And then he gets in the ring and he attacks Rocky Maivia and hurts his knee. So now he's attacked Rocky for no reason other than the fact that he just wants to show Vince and Ross that I'm a true dick now. Look at me. I'm smug Bret Hart and I'm an asshole. And I've hurt 2 people's knees. You guys go eat an ass. You know?
Mm-hmm.
So that's the end of that segment. Unless you got anything on that. It was. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was just going to say just that something that I say ad nauseum on every show we do. Bret Hart's heel turn. I know people love the Hogan heel turn, but for me, for my money, Bret Hart's heel turn is the greatest heel turn ever.
Yeah, and it's also kind of cool because they weren't in the same place very long, unfortunately, because we're in '97, so everybody knows it's going to happen. It's kind of cool to see Bret doing some shit with The Rock.
Yeah.
Even though he's not The Rock, you're just still like, you forget some of the unless you had the network and you could go back and watch all this stuff, or you had it, you wouldn't even think of The Rock having interaction with Bret Hart. You know what I mean? That was kind of cool. The next thing up is Ahmed Johnson versus Savio Vega. There's really nothing to the match. Ahmed gets a spine buster, which brings down the Nation of Domination. Farouk's not there because he's hurt from the street fight. But he wins by disqualification. And then Ahmed Johnson goes to cut a promo. And I don't know if he said what he was supposed to say and nobody could understand it, or if he just completely fucked it up. But he ends up challenging the Nation of Domination to like some sort of like gauntlet match or something, where if he loses, he'll leave the WWF, but you never understand what happens if he wins. Like he says, I beat you all. I challenge the Nation of Domination. If I lose, or if you, he says, if you win, I'll leave the WWF. But then he never says what happens if he wins. That's what it is. So like even Jim Ross is like, I don't know what that was. Like, I don't know what Ahmed wants, but if he loses, he's gonna leave. Like he doesn't even like. I think he was supposed to get in that if he wins, they have to disband.
They have to disband, yeah, because that winds up being the stipulation.
He didn't mention it on this thing though. So he sounds like an idiot. He just sounds like a guy that's like, if I can't beat you guys, I'll just leave. Well, what happens if we win?
Nothing.
Or what happens if you win? I don't know. Like it was one of the most confused. Like all of the kind, like Ross and Vince and Lawler were just like, okay, there you go. That happened, and it was just it's hard to explain. You kind of got to see it to understand how confusing it was. Like after I was like, I don't know what that was. Then Paul Bearer finally shows up, and he's upset, and they're asking him why he's upset, and he's doing his fat Southern man upset Paul Bearer, and he says, "You know who I am, and you know who I want to talk to, McMahon." Like being awesome Paul Bearer, like a commercial. And then Vince McMahon is going to introduce The Undertaker, and Vince McMahon fucks up. This is what he says. Will you help me welcome me? That's what he says. Will you help me welcome me? And then this is how I'll try to, I'm not going to do a Vince voice. Say I'm Vince McMahon. He goes, will you help me welcome me? When he pauses. So funny. Like, I guarantee there's 3 people that made fun of him. Probably his own kid. Shane probably made fun of him. Bruce Pritchard would get away with making fun of him. And if Fred Blassie was there, maybe Fred Blassie. Everybody else is probably like, would pretend that didn't happen. So this is what Vince does. Will you help me welcome me? Here comes The Undertaker.
He's like, fuck it.
He just pauses, doesn't try to reset. He just goes, will you help me welcome me? Here comes The Undertaker. When The Undertaker comes out, and he's like doing the, Creatures of the Night thing. Like, I love the Creatures of the Night. We're the chant now. The Dark Side era has begun. All this Undertaker stuff is all cool. You know?
Mm-hmm.
Dude never did anything that wasn't cool. Even me, Mark Callis, is fucking cool. Anyway, he's cutting his Undertaker stuff, and then Paul Bearer comes out, and he's asking the Undertaker to listen to him for a minute. And as he's talking to the Undertaker about wanting to come back to the dark side, Mankind appears on the Titantron, and he's begging Paul Bearer to come back. And they're both talking at the same time over each other.
Yes, I remember this now. I remember this being a total fucking wreck.
And it's chaotic. And this is before the era of Raw being gangbusters on the USA and letting them go over. Now, when I say go over, I mean like
go over time.
Yeah, you have 10 extra minutes or whatever. So this is this is happening, and then it's just like, goodbye, everybody, have a good night, and it just ends. So you don't even see what the fuck happened. like they cut it out, like in the middle of this chaotic Mankind cutting a promo at the same time Paul Bear's cutting a promo, and that's just how it ends.
Yeah,
it's like an episode of Mid-South.
We're out of time, everybody.
Yeah, tell you what happened next week. Goodbye. And that's just how it goes. It's like nothing happened. Like that's how the Raw after WrestleMania goes off the air. I was like, this is the damnedest thing I've ever seen, and they had no conclusion whatsoever. And that's Monday Night Raw. Raw is War, the night after WrestleMania 13. Other than that segment, which somebody went long on that. Somebody went long. I have a feeling, honestly, that Sean and Brett probably
more than likely
got away from themselves and shit got a little real verbally, and they probably went a little too far into their business, probably, and that's why this thing got cut short. And I feel kind of bad for Taker. His whole Raw debut as the champ.
Yeah.
Vince, here comes the Undertaker. Vince fucked it up, and then it got ended early. But other than that, I thought this was a pretty entertaining episode of Raw is War.
Solid Raw, and like you said, throughout the show, they establish this is a new Bret Hart, folks.
Yes. And if you don't have anything else on that,
nope.
We can roll into Nitro if you're ready for that.
I am.
All right. We're going to roll into WCW Monday Nitro, March 3rd. Or March 3rd. I keep saying March 3rd. I'm used to saying March 3rd because that's my birthday, people. So everything, I shouldn't say this on everything, but my password has something to do with my birthday on everything. I just remember it. Anyway, March 24th, 1997, Duluth, Minnesota. That's where we're at for this.
The hotbed of professional
wrestling. Both companies are in a place that's butt-ass cold right now. It's March. One's in Illinois, the other one's in Duluth. This place famous for fucking underwear. You know what they make?
I don't know.
Oh, that Duluth company.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
The people that make the underwear for the guys that fucking work hard. It's like,
I'm just gonna say you're correct because I don't know what you're talking about.
Like, do you have stanky balls? Do you want good underwear? Duluth. Guess you don't work hard. I've thought about it. Like, my balls stank every day when I get home. Like, I might not even take a whole shower, but I wash my taint because it's rough. If I had them Duluth underwear, I'd be all right. They're like $20 a pair. Anyway, I'll send you a link. Anyway, we open up this Monday Nitro with a recap of Randy Savage saying that he'll fight DDP, but then he's like, not tonight. On that last Nitro we watched the other week, and he runs away. He doesn't run away, but he leaves. Then they show that Larry the Axe Hennig, he's in attendance. There he is.
Captain Kangaroo.
Yes. I wouldn't call him that well, he's dead now, but even like the day that man died, he could probably still kick my ass.
Yep.
Like, I wish, and I don't think there's any at all, but I wish I could find footage of Larry the Axe Hennig and Harley Race as a tag team.
Yeah, I've never been able to find any.
Could you imagine being two guys showing up to the building? You drove there. You know, you get to the building, you've gone through the snow in some car from like the 60s.
You've smoked 3
Finally
packs
get
of cigarettes.
You finally get there. You're like, whew, I about died on Moose Ridge Road. Almost died. Then you get there, you're going to get paid $15 probably. And you look at the fucking paper and you're like, oh, tonight you're fighting Larry the Axe Hennig and Harley Race. Like, oh my God. Like, you know, like people said they'd read that they're fighting the Road Warriors and then turn around and leave. That's what I would do. I ain't doing that. It's like they're just gonna hurt you on purpose. Like I want to say hurt you on purpose, but just hurt you. Like I wouldn't want anything to do with that. Anyway, so Larry the Axe Hennig's there. In case you guys don't know, this is when WCW was pushing hard to get Kurt to sign. Like they've been trying to sign Kurt. Like if you don't know your WCW history, they've been trying to sign Kurt since '94.
Yeah,
Like really try. Like the whole. People can tell me if I'm wrong, but I honestly think that they had all the intentions in the world for the mask guy to be Kurt Hennig.
Oh yeah. I've seen that a number of times. That the big theory is that it was supposed to be Hogan and not Mr. Perfect, obviously, but Hogan and Kurt Hennig at Starrcade '94. That was the intent, and then they're especially trying to sign him. They're especially trying to sign him hardcore since he left the WWF in late '96.
Yeah, but Kurt was looking at all that Lloyd's of London money. He's like, yeah, I gotta wait a little bit on that. That's shit. That's what kept Rude out of the business too.
Mm-hmm.
Lloyd's of London, and Animal. Like once that policy ran out, then they my back's better. But anyway, the opening match is Dean Malenko defending the United States Championship against Conan. There's an interview in the corner about Six Pac talking about Malenko and Guerrero and how Guerrero's done a couple things, you know, that have kind of fucked over Malenko a couple times. And X-Pac is hinting that Eddie is in cahoots with the NWO and is possibly going to be joining the NWO. And then in commentary, Tony is also stating that, you know, we talked about last week when Arn cut the promo about needing to get surgery. They mentioned that Arn got attacked in a hotel room last week. They don't know who attacked him, but he was found in the hallway. What I think this is I honestly think they thought Arn was just going to have his surgery, was going to be out a couple months, and then he was going to be back.
Yeah.
I think he went in there and they were like, you're done. So they're using this extra attack thing as the reason that Arn's not going to get back in the ring.
Mm-hmm.
It's also insane how young Arn was when that happened to him.
Yeah.
He always looked old, and I'm not knocking him. You know what I mean? But Arn Anderson always looked like he was 40. But then when he got hurt, he actually was 40. So
Yeah.
like, you don't think about Arn Anderson's career being cut short.
Right.
I mean, what, like a 10 or 12 year career?
Mm-hmm.
It's insane.
Yeah.
It's insane. But anyway, Dean ends up just winning with a Texas Cloverleaf, and it's a pretty good match for what it was. Then Mean Gene interviews Dean Malenko on the ramp. He seems to think that Six and Guerrero are together, and then he mentions that he can't worry about those fucking guys though, because he has to focus on his pay-per-view match coming up, Spring Stampede against Chris Benoit. And he talks about how he thinks Chris Benoit will be a quality opponent. He's basically talking about how he's looking forward to having a straight up match and not all this fucking chicanery with
Right.
Benoit. And obviously we're going to get there, but obviously, you know, it's going to be a great, like, Dean Malenko and Chris Benoit aren't going to have a bad match. And I just watched it a couple days ago and it's fantastic, but we'll talk about that later. Tony Schiavone and Larry Zbyszko discuss Randy Savage wanting to face Prince Iaukea for the TV championship. This is selling over the fact that at Uncensored, the NWO won that fucking stupid triple threat thing, and now they can challenge for whatever titles they want whenever they want.
Mm-hmm.
And they're putting over that Savage doesn't even really want. It's stupid how they're saying it, because they're kind of shitting on their own belt. And I understand what they're trying to say, but they're kind of shitting on their own belt. They're saying Savage doesn't even want the TV championship. He just wants to take it from WCW. He doesn't even really care about it. It's like, you're shitting on your own belt.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
and they shit on that title so much. They like from 97 to 2000, they devalued that title so much that it's kind of a shame with all the great talent that held it. And yeah.
But this was just, I don't know. Anyway, they could have even just said something like just lie, and be like, oh, DDP was a fixture at the power plant. Like, that's not a lie. They've talked about it before. Prince Iaukea was trained at the power plant. Make up some fucking lie and say that DDP and saw something in Prince Iaukea and really took him under his wing. And
right.
That's the reason that he wants to kick the shit out of Prince Iaukea tonight, because he's DDP's buddy. Something like that. But they're just like, he doesn't really want it. He just wants to take it. And anyway, this is lazy. Shit on their belt. Then they recap Glacier and Mortis from Uncensored, which is also the debut of Wrath. So that's going to tell you guys just a little insight of why we didn't review Uncensored 1997. It was, I called an audible and said, we're not going to talk about this. Then Mortis comes out with James Vandenberg, and how do I want to say this? He's fighting Jerry Flynn, and I put, this is not a terrible match. And the reason I put that is because it's not two terrible guys. Like, Jerry Flynn was actually a capable wrestler. Was he ever going to be the world champion? No. Was he ever going to be the TV champion? No. But Jerry Flynn wasn't bad. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And Mortis, was that kind of a stupid gimmick? Yes. It was a terrible, stupid gimmick. But the guy in it was fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
So the match itself is really good. It's just, it's what we say all the time about things, just crap booking. Like, why couldn't he have just been Chris Kanyon and been with James Vandenberg?
Right.
Because then they even let him talk. And then Mortis talks like Chris Kanyon. And I'm not knocking how Chris Kanyon talks, but Chris Kanyon can talk like that. Mortis wouldn't.
Yeah.
There's a reason that they distorted Kevin Kelly's voice when he played Nails. Because he looked like he should be Nails.
Yeah, but you don't want to be like, how are you, boss man? Hey,
yeah, boss man. I'm
going
to get you, boss man. The reason they distorted his fucking voice. Anyway.
I'm gonna lay out, boss man. You betcha sure.
Betcha sure, gee golly. Yeah.
The fucking Nails talks like William H. Macy in Fargo.
Yeah.
Oh gosh. Oh gosh.
My favorite.
Oh geez.
My favorite jokes in Fargo. So you were making out with the funny looking one, huh? Yeah, I was making out with the funny looking one.
Funny looking.
Yeah, funny looking. Goddamn movie. That fucking fat kid that's like looking when the dog they shot the top. He's got that look on his face like, holy shit. That fucking fat kid's face is always in my mind. And I think that it's so funny. Anyway, is that the second Coen Brothers reference we made?
Yeah, I think so.
See if we can get a Raising Arizona in here. I will give you my Raising Arizona. I was watching a WCW Saturday night the other day. and Super Invader Hercules came out.
Boy, you got a panty on your head.
He's like, God, I was like, boy, you got a panty on your head. Anyway, like, why wasn't he just Hercules Hernandez? I don't understand sometimes shit. When they brought in Warlord and Barbarian and they were like, oh, we're going to make it the Super Assassins.
Yeah.
Like,
why can't we just be the Powers of Pain?
I know maybe we can't be the Powers of Pain. Why can't we just be Barbarian and Warlord? Anyway, I don't get it. Anyway, Mortis ends up getting a low blow and a super kick on James Vandenberg, on Jerry Flynn, and hits the flatliner for the victory. Like I said, Mortis, the wrestler, cool. The gimmick, not. Wrath sucked, though. Brian Clark's butt. The next match is La Parca versus Juventud Guerrera. Then La Parca comes out and he's got like an elaborate outfit on, like an elaborate, like, to the point he comes out that Tony Schiavone's like, oh my, whoa, I wasn't expecting that. You know, like it's a legit reaction. And this is the first time La Parca starts doing the, I know he did it in Mexico, but this is the first time he starts doing it on Nitro. Like he's strutting around, he's wooing, he's dancing and everything, to the point where Zbyszko's like, is that La Parca or is that Ric Flair in there? Like why is Ric Flair dressed like La Parca? And he's dancing and doing everything. This, I think, is honestly, I think somebody, I could be wrong, but I think somebody in WCW on the creative, whether it was Bischoff, Sullivan, Terry Taylor, I think somebody finally saw his shit from Mexico or something and was like, yeah, this dude's fucking cool.
Yeah, turn it up a notch.
Yeah, because he's like one of the 4 guys that came there that WCW made, like you said, almost made like a WCW guy.
Mm-hmm.
It was like Ray, Uvi, La Parca, and who was the other guy I was thinking of?
Psychosis.
Yeah, Psychosis. Like those were the 4 guys that were like, these guys, more than anybody else, kind of transcendent American wrestling. You know what I mean? And so I think somebody finally was like, yeah, let's do something with this La Parca. And plus he's big, like he's a bigger guy.
Yeah.
So it worked. But anyway, La Parca ends up winning this match with what Tony Schiavone calls a swinging body attack.
It sounds like a video game.
So he had no idea what to call. I don't know what it was either, but he was just like a swinging body attack. I'm like, that's when we need Mike. Where was Mike? He would have known what that was. Then we get a recap of the Steiner brothers, Kevin Nash, Scott Hall situation. Like all the shit that's been going on. Like their sold out victory where Randy Anderson made the count. Bischoff was reversing the decision. Him firing Randy Anderson, Jason Hervey. I said Jason Hervey. Dr. Harvey Schiller suspending him. They meant, this is where it's funny. They mentioned the car incident, but they didn't show it. I've gone down the record of saying they say it's one of the most despicable things that's ever happened in wrestling, but I don't think they realized when they played it, when they shot it, how fucking funny it was. The funniest things I've ever seen in my life. Them running them off the road and just being like, oh shit. Oh no.
This is bad.
Yeah, this is bad. Let's go, guys. Every time I see that car thing, I just laugh. I shouldn't, but it's so funny. Anyway, and then they show the uncensored. Basically, all of this is leading up to these 2 teams fighting at Spring Stampede, and watching it. You know, you don't think about it in real time or whatever, But the Steiners and Outsiders feud was actually pretty fucking cool.
Mm-hmm.
The car thing was ridiculous, but these two teams, I think they worked well together. And they did have a long. It's like I forgot how long these two fucking teams feuded.
Yeah. Well, and obviously, I mean, they're all friends.
Yeah.
That's something I think that people forget sometimes is that these four guys were all like actually really buddies, you know, because they all worked together. They all worked together during the tumultuous times in WCW in like 91, 92, 93.
Yeah. Rick helped get Kevin Nash gone. Like he helped put him in the like Sean said he called Rick and he was like, "Hey, do you know anything about this Vinny Vegas guy?" He's like, "He's down the hall. I'll go get him for you." Funny motherfucker down here. You know, and that's something people don't think about too is that Sean was disliked by a lot of people, but it was towards his pill time or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Before that, like he was friends with like the Nasty Boys, and it's just funny because like Sean's friends with a lot of guys who are in guys that he doesn't like's clique.
Yeah.
Like that's always just a crazy thing in wrestling. Like Brett and Kevin Nash, you never really hear about them hating each other. Brett and Scott Hall, you never really hear anything about them hating each other.
Mm-hmm.
Sean Waltman puts Brett over every chance he gets. But Sean and Brett hate each other.
Yeah.
Well, Shawn Michaels, buddies with the Nasty Boys.
Well, from what everything I understand, Sean and Owen got along really good.
Yeah, Sean and Owen got along, It's just like, but like Sean hates Hulk Hogan, and Hulk Hogan hates Shawn Michaels, but Sean's buddies with the Nasty Boys, but anyway, we're getting into the weeds on that. But like I said, the Outsiders did business with these guys because, like you said, they all liked each other, and also another reason they probably did business with them too is I think Kevin Nash could be like, I probably can't fuck with these guys.
Yeah.
Like Rick Steiner is a little fire plug compared to me, but he could probably put Nash wherever he wants to put him. So why fuck with him? So anyway, we get into that. They show all that. Then the Steiner brothers, they cut a typical crazy Steiner brothers promo about coming up at Spring Stampede with Mean Gene, and then they leave. The next match I know you would love. It's the Public Enemy versus High Voltage. The match is going on. Ronnie Rage gets put through a table by Rocco Rock. And then Jeff Jarrett comes out during the match. Like Mongo's not with him. It's just Jarrett and Deborah. And they hit Johnny Grudge with the Halliburton. And High Voltage ends up getting the win. And Jarrett and Deborah are leaving. And then Mongo comes out. And he's mad. He's upset.
Of course he is.
And he's like, I feel like I'm being set up here. I'm like, I don't understand why he feels like he's being set up. and I don't understand it. And they try to say, well, maybe the Public Enemy is going to see the Halliburton and think that Mongo hit him. It's like, well, the Halliburton's not even in the ring anymore. I don't understand what this is. It's dumb. Like, whatever this is dumb. And this is like the first time I've ever watched anything involving Jeff Jarrett, and I feel bad for him. I feel bad for Jeff Jarrett because he's stuck with Mongo and the Public Enemy. It's like, sorry.
Stuck in the mud.
I feel bad for Jeff Jarrett. So that thing is a debacle. And then Mean Gene interviews Lex Luger and the Giant about their Four Corners match coming up. And it'll be for the number one contender. The number one contendership as they're facing, it'll be Lex Luger versus the Giant versus Booker T versus Stevie Ray. And Luger's basically talking about how he doesn't want to face Lex Luger because of their friendship, but he'll do what he has to do. And Luger says he'll do what he has to do too. And after the match, no matter what, they'll still be besties. And the
This is all fairly boring.
it is boring, and I've mentioned this before. I find Lex Luger and the Giant together boring, but they are also fucking over. Like
Yeah.
the WCW audience was fucking digging them. So who am I? You know what I mean? If they're
Yeah.
selling shirts and the people are going crazy for them, go for it. I don't see it. It's kind of like what we were just saying before. I don't see it, but other people like it. Go with it. We're not too much further into this thing. Super Callow then comes out and he's facing Psychosis. And then Sonny Ono is going to cut a little corner promo because Rey Mysterio is going to be facing Ultimo Dragon at Spring Stampede. And he's going to kind of, for some reason, they put a promo about Sonny Ono and Rey Mysterio in the middle of this match. And Sonny Ono says that Rey Mysterio is stunted mentally and physically.
He's little.
He's little. Rey Mysterio is little. But he also, in this thing, says that he's mentally stunted. And Rey's like, okay. Psychosis ends up winning this match with his top rope leg drop. They haven't called it the guillotine yet. It's still just a top rope leg drop. Tony Schiavone is then joined by Mike Tenay and Bobby Heenan. So that's going on. Hugh Morris comes out, and like I said, if you got anything you got to interject, you can interject. Hugh Morris comes out, and he's going to face Chris Benoit. Hugh Morris has Jimmy Hart with him. The match is going on. Benoit's getting the upper hand. He goes to hit his flying headbutt off the top rope. Jimmy Hart and Conan get involved. Benoit falls, lands on the ground. Hugh Morris hits No Laughing Matter and gets the 1-2-3 on Chris Benoit.
Build him up and Chris Benoit. That's a cool match.
It is a cool match, and I was not I don't remember this match, but I was not expecting Hugh Morris to win that match, and nobody in the audience was either. They were like, what? But then Kevin Sullivan returns. He's got the DOD with him. They attack Chris Benoit, which brings out Dean Malenko because he's going to try to help Chris Benoit because this is his opponent, but he respects him. And then Ric Flair shows up, and it's crazy time. People losing their shit because this is the first time Rick's gotten, and the commentators do a good job. I mentioned it. Rick had some surgery. So, like, you know, because like they were going over with how Mongo and Jarrett were the only active horsemen or whatever. Basically, they're putting over this is the first time that Flair's been active in some kind of situation in like 3 or 4 months.
Mm-hmm.
Flair's back at it, and he ends up Bill DeMott and Conan bump like fucking super balls for Ric Flair because why wouldn't they?
Right.
And he runs them out. And then Benoit does the whole I know you helped me, but I'm skeptical of your involvement with Dean Malenko, and Dean just kind of leaves. Then the next match, like I said, this is the second hour of Nitro. The second hour of Nitro is very rapid paced. Like, like they're in it to get it, and let's just get in there, get our get our bigger names out there, and be done with it. The Faces of Fear versus Harlem Heat. Ming ends up bumping into Sherry, which allows Booker to get a sidekick, and the 1-2-3 Harlem Heat over the Faces of Fear. It was one of their basic matches. Mean Gene then introduces Chris Benoit and Ric Flair. Chris Benoit is adamant that he knows Kevin Sullivan attacked Arn Anderson in the hotel, even though Kevin Sullivan's apparently going around telling everybody he didn't do it. And then Flair once again puts Hot Rod on blast about not being Hot Rod anymore and went to hang with his family. And I think he's implying that Hot Rod has a limp dick and doesn't do coke anymore, and he's mad about it. So that's the implications of Hot Rod. And then Melina Hasoko, I always fuck her name up. Chad will be mad because that's his.
Malia Hasaka.
Yes. Versus Medusa. Medusa won that match. It was just a thing. Then we get Lee Marshall with the Road Report. He's in Roanoke. There's some kind of tournament of something parade there in Roanoke. So he makes a joke that there's no tournament of weasels parade.
Boo.
Obviously, whatever.
Yeah, that's a bad one. I can't even react to that one.
Yeah, like get out, stay in Roanoke. Like he just like Bobby's just done with Lee Marshall.
Speaking of Bobby, and I won't get us in the weeds, but I'm watching Primetime 87. You know, Bobby's got the neck brace.
Yeah.
You know, because Ken Patera hurt him or whatever. And Gorilla Monsoon keeps challenging him to prove that he's injured. So Bobby produces x-rays, right? So the first x-ray in the envelope is like an x-ray of a chest. Like Gorilla's not like, it's not even your neck. This isn't even of a neck. And Bobby's like, well, they got to check, to see if the vertebrae are hurt, but they got to check to see if the ribs are compressed and blah, 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 blah. So that's probably why that's in there. But the funniest thing is he's like, all right, there's one more x-ray in here, Bobby. Hopefully we're going to prove about the neck injury. And he takes out, it's an x-ray of a foot. and then for the next 45 minutes, every time they're on, Gorilla Monsoon's just like, I don't understand. Why do we have an x-ray of a foot in here? And Bobby's like, well, hospitals make mistakes and shit. You have to see it. It's so fun, but
I remember
this running gag about there's an x-ray of a foot.
I'm in 89 now. I'm almost to the end of all the having their full year. But yeah, it's the furthest thing away you can get from the neck.
So fucking funny. Anyway, sorry. It's just
I'm telling you, I know people shit on it, but them old primetime WWF humor, I love it.
Me too.
I know it's camp and I know it's ridiculous, but you just gotta watch it for what it is. When they fucking put the goddamn electrodes or whatever to fucking George the Animal Steel, and
how now, brown cow.
Like, goddamn, that's so funny. Does he get a look on his face? How now, brown cow? Or when they just throw the goddamn mailbag at Alfred.
Mm-hmm.
Just hit him. Those guys were so fucking funny. People shit on it, but
one of the best.
Alfred will wear them too big for him, fluffy for frilly suits. Yeah.
Wow, one of the funniest things ever on WWF television is Gene Okerlund and Lord Alfred watching Morocco and Fuji do stand-up.
Yeah.
Okerlund fucking loses it. He loses it.
That was Morocco and Fuji's thing.
Yeah.
I don't want to say thing. That's those two guys, I guarantee, were behind that curtain and they were like, let's just try to make these fuckers laugh on TV.
Okerlund, you know what I mean? Fucking loses it.
Let's talk about some tropical stuff. Topical stuff.
I flew in from Los Angeles today. Boy, my herbs are tired.
People shit on it. They shit on that stuff, and they're like, "Oh, they made Morocco so stupid." It's like, no,
it's so funny.
It was the genius of it. That this guy think, I don't know. It could be a whole different show.
Yeah. Sorry.
But, yeah, I know. No, I'm saying I could have a whole show on how funny it is that these two guys thought that they were comedians and actors, like Fuji Vice Fuji General,
Fuji Bandito.
Fuji Bandito.
Oh man, but that shit, fucking Okerlund, like that's like it's the most unprofessional they ever let him look on television.
Yeah.
I know you can go on YouTube now and find the outtakes from the interview segments and stuff, but they just left it there. Like they were like, you know what, him busting up to this is so funny, and we're leaving it in.
Yeah, and it's good shit. It was four guys who love each other trying to make each other laugh.
Yeah,
you know what I mean, and that's just what it is. And I think that era of the WWF gets shit on too much by fucking snobs. Like,
I agree.
Like, I love Crockett. You know what I mean? Or going back and watching like Mid-South and shit like that. I love watching it. But I also like to sit down and just for 2 hours just laugh my ass off.
Yeah, be entertained.
Shit. This is ridiculous. The Iron Sheik was fucking ridiculous. It was fucking great.
Jinmin
Chicken and just kills it. Anyway. The next thing is not funny. It's horrible because it's the Renegade versus Purple and Gold Jim Duggan.
Oof.
Yes. And they're trying to get over that the Renegade is trying to turn heel. Nobody cares. And then Jim Duggan grabs in his pants, pulls his big wad out, and smacks Renegade with it, and pins him 1, 2, 3. He does the tape things. What I'm getting at, his wad of tape. Anyway, that's the end of that. And then we get a really shitty Spring Stampede Horseman commercial. Ric Flair is a cowboy. Arn Anderson's a cowboy. Chris Benoit's a cowboy. Mango. That would be Chris Kattan. Chris Kattan wasn't there. Mongo is there, and it's like, we're the Horsemen. We got to ride off into the prairie. And they're like, okay. And it's, I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, flew in from Los Angeles, and my arms sure are tired.
Yeah. It's like, this is worse than Dead-Eye Dick, and the guy's looking for Stan Hansen, which is one of my favorite things ever. Hey, Stan, we got this great gimmick. Okay. And then they showed him all the vignettes, and he was like, I quit.
This is bullshit. I quit.
I quit. So they never find him because Stan Hansen was like, absolutely not. You are not putting me with Black Bart and Dead-Eye Dick.
Yeah.
I am out.
Peace.
Boom.
Peace.
Anyway, like, he didn't even try to be like, my horse is sick.
No.
He was like, this is fucking trash, and I'm leaving. And who's gonna stop him? Anyway, so we get this shitty Spring Stampede Horseman commercial, and then it's the Amazing French Canadians versus the Steiners. This match is just long enough for them to talk about the match coming up, and then I wrote what he says right now. I wrote what somebody says on here because it's the difference between WWF and WCW. Because you know how like Shawn and Hunter and all them would kind of like do little different things to kind of show Hall and Nash and Pac that they were like talking to him, or like, you know, they do like the wolf or whatever, kind of like the Carol Burnett tugging her ear. They do like the whole thing, be like, oh, now they know Shawn, and or like they'd do it, and then they know, oh, Nash and Hall and Six know we're hey, love you, brother. You know what I mean? The NWO is coming out, and Kevin Nash does the Wolfpack thing into the camera and just goes, right back at you, HBK. Shawn Michaels or Triple H never in their fucking wildest minds would have thought to look at the camera and be like, Right back at you, Scott Hall and Kevin Nash.
Yeah, right back at you, outsiders. Yeah.
Because Vince McMahon would have been like, what the fuck was that?
We're shutting this shit down
We're
right
shutting
now.
this shit down. You can't do this anymore. But yeah,
Mm-hmm.
right back at you, HBK. And he goes like this, right back at you, HBK. Like, never would have happened if Vince McMahon was running that fucking company.
Yeah.
Anyway, they're all piling out there because they're basically surrounding the ring for Randy Savage to wrestle Prince Iakea. Okay. So this thing's going on, and Macho Man basically just keeps hitting Prince Iakea with elbows, like his Macho Man elbow drop, and he won't stop doing it. He keeps picking him up, and they're just talking about it hurting the kid and this, that, and the other thing. Then fine, and this is why I'm saying they should have said like DDP was this guy's like mentor at the power plant or something, because DDP then comes out and tries to help and actually gets some shots in on the NWO and like surprises them with some stuff or whatever. But then it turns into just being the NWO basically piling on to Page and beating him down, and they give Iakea a couple power bombs, and it ends with DDP and Prince Iakea laid out in the NWO celebrating and doing their thing, and that's basically how Nitro goes off the air. So I mean, it wasn't a terrible Nitro, but it was I don't want to say it was a nothing happening Nitro, but they're kind of spinning their wheels going into Spring Stampede. I think
Raw definitely won the week.
Yes, and they've kind of outstayed their welcome a little bit with some of these angles they're doing. Raw was a better show. Like I said, Nitro wasn't terrible. So next week we have another round of Nitro and Raw before we get to Spring Stampede. So just looking forward to talking about those shows. Raw will still be in Illinois, chilling in Illinois, and WCW will be in Roanoke. So we're looking forward to that.
All right.
So unless you have anything else, I'd like to thank everybody for listening.
Get well, Archie.
Yes.